one of the things that we also did when we looked at each of our businesses is we looked at the keyword volume in each of those businesses to analyze market size. And what we found was one of the most striking discoveries of my entire life. We looked at all of our successful businesses and we found that the keyword search volume, in other words, the size of the market as measured by Google Trends, a free tool, was all within a very narrow range. And every single one of our failed businesses was either too big or too small. And so one of the things that we debated literally for months is we said, should we reveal what those keywords are? Should we reveal what our most successful markets were and what those keywords were? And what we decided to do in the book was reveal it all. We decided to share exactly what those keywords were so you could take your keyword in your business and measure it against those benchmark keywords and see if your business is either too big, too small, or right inside what we call the market size sweet spot. So that's another one of the factors.
So just for someone who's watching this that might not know, explain what a keyword is.
So one of the things I teach is the importance of identifying what's called your bullseye keyword. Now, your bullseye keyword is a keyword that describes the thing that people would be searching for online that represents the transformation or process that you help people through in their business. I'll give you an example. One keyword would be orchid care. Orchid care represents the bullseye keyword in our orchid care business because we help people care for their orchids, as in the flower. Another example, memory improvement. We help people improve their memory through a series of techniques and courses that we offer that are designed to train and improve your memory. So those are examples of bullseye keywords. They represent words that people would type into a search engine like Google that represent what they're looking for help with, that represents what you help people with in your business. So when we looked at all of our bullseye keywords in market after market, we studied all of our clients' businesses. And we looked at what was it that separated those that were successful against those that were not successful. We found that market size was incredibly important. When it comes to tossing your boat in the river, you don't want a river that's too big because you're going to be swallowed up whole. You don't want a river that's too small because there's just not enough current to move you forward. You want a river that is just right. And in the book, we reveal exactly what that size is. So that's market size. Now, another factor that I think is really important is this conversation around competition. Now, competition is interesting. When I talk to people who are at the stage of just starting their business, trying to figure out what business to go into, inevitably it leads in one of several directions. People have an idea, they get super excited about it, so they go online, they do some searching, and they say, crap, somebody's already doing it. They close the door to the idea. Or they come up with an idea, they go online and they say, nobody's doing this. We're going to get rich. This is great. And the reality is both of those situations are problematic for different reasons. One of my mentors taught me this phrase that's always stuck with me, and I'll share it here. And he said, Ryan, remember this. Pioneers get shot, but settlers get rich. What he meant by that is you do not want to be the first to market. You don't want to be the first one to try to sell something or figure something out online. If nobody's doing the thing that you're thinking of doing, chances are with the 7-8 billion people on the planet, listen, you're not the first person to have that idea. Chances are someone else tried it and wasn't able to make it work. Instead, what you're looking for is this. If you look at the most iconic companies of our time, you look at Google, you look at Facebook, you look at Apple, none of them were the first to market. Google was not the first search engine. Facebook was not the first social media platform, and Apple was not the first to sell smartphones or MP3 players. Instead, what they found is they found a market that was proven, and they either built a better mousetrap or they did a better job with their messaging and marketing. So the secret is this. You want to find a market where your competition is succeeding in spite of itself. That is the secret recipe.
So especially from your vantage point, where you have not only your own experience, good and bad, but also your clients and all the people that you've worked with, you've got a pretty good view. So how does someone choose their business as there's a pretty big market to choose from?
When it comes to figuring out what type of business to start, a lot of people I talk to get overwhelmed because it feels like there are a million options out there. Do you start an e-commerce business where you're selling physical products online? Do you open up a physical storefront? Do you set up a restaurant in your local town? Do you build an agency where you're helping people with something like social media or marketing or photography? It feels like there are a million options out there. But in my experience, I've found that there's one business model that I recommend starting with, and it's selling education and expertise. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the education and expertise market, what we mean by that is selling everything from books, courses, to doing coaching, consulting, to live events and virtual events, to building membership sites online. Here's a crazy stat for you. Did you know that over $450 million a day is spent on education online? Courses, books, ebooks. Isn't that crazy? $500 million a day. Now, the reason why I love this model so much and I advocate it, especially if you're a bootstrapped entrepreneur, meaning you're funding your business yourself, which was me. I funded our business with $5,000 in savings. That's how I got everything going to build a $10 million a year business, is because when you sell education and expertise, the margins are incredibly high. If you sell a course online, a digital course for $100, for all intents and purposes, that's $100 in profit. Versus if you sell a $100 watch or a physical product, you might only make $10 or $15 on that $100 sale. So the margins are incredibly high. Startup costs, incredibly low. You can just use your iPhone, start filming yourself, and you have the makings of your own course. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need to fly to China to go to manufacturing facilities and build prototypes and deal with import-export, have inventory and stock where you've got a warehouse worth of stuff. You could create the thing today and start selling it tomorrow. Now, whenever I bring up this idea of education and expertise, people inevitably say, I don't have any expertise. What about me? Well, I'll answer that a few different ways. This is another thing one of my mentors once taught me. He said, Ryan, remember this. To the fourth grader, the fifth grader is a genius. Think about that. You don't need to be a PhD or have that level of expertise to teach somebody else something. Think about it. If you've ever had someone reach out to you and say, hey, can you help me with this? Can I ask for your advice on this? You don't necessarily need to be a world-class expert in that space. You just need to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of your students, your clients. So that's the first thing. Second thing is this. If you have no desire to be the expert yourself, there's a world of experts to partner with, to hire. Let's take a look at what we're doing right here, right? We're bringing on world-class experts in the form of this project right here to talk on their area of expertise. There's nothing stopping you from doing something just like what we're doing right now. So whether you have expertise or don't have expertise, whether you have a desire to be an expert or not, education and expertise, over $450 million a day being spent online. You know, I think about how much this is exploding. When I went to college 15, 20 years ago, cost of college that I went to was $40,000 a year. Same college today, over $80,000 a year. It's an exploding industry right now in all areas of the world. So I advocate that type of business above and beyond anything else.